Moving to a big city is bloody scary. Too scary for some, but perhaps a case of feel the fear and do it anyway. But something that can ease the process is having someone alongside you to share the process and to share the journey. Childhood friends from Ecuador, Joselyn Toaquiza and Jhon Ilbis, were living together in Syracuse, New York, after making the big move. But when her next birthday became her last, an investigation showed that you need to be very careful who you trust. This is the 2024 case of Joselyn Toaquiza, and this is Murder of Crows. Syracuse is a city in and is the county seat of Onondaga County, New York, in the United States. With a population of 148,620 and its metropolitan area having a population of 662,057, it is the 5th most populated city and 13th most populated municipality within the state of New York. Formally established in 1820, Syracuse was named after the Italian city Syracuse, or Siracusa in Italian, a city on the eastern coast of the Italian island of Sicily, for its similar natural features. It has historically functioned as a major crossroads. First between the Erie Canal and its branch canals, and then later of the railway network. Today, the city is at the intersection of Interstates 81 and 90. And its airport is the largest in central New York, a 5-county region of over 1 million inhabitants. Syracuse is the economic and educational hub of central New York. It hosts a number of convention sites, including a large downtown convention complex, and is home to several prominent institutions. And these institutions include Syracuse University, SUNY Upstate Medical University, SUNYESF, Lemoyne College, and Onondaga Community College. French missionaries were the first Europeans to come to this particular area, arriving to work with and convert the Native Americans in the mid-17th century. At the invitation of the Onondaga Nation, one of the 5 nations of the Iroquois Confederacy, a Jesuit priest by the name of Simon Lemoyne, accompanied by soldiers and coureurs de bois, including Pierre Esprit Radisson, set up a mission on the northeast shore of Onondaga Lake. Jesuit missionaries reported salty brine springs around the southern end of what they referred to as Salt Lake, though it is today known as Onondaga Lake in honor of the historic tribe. French fur traders established trade throughout the New York area among the Iroquois. Dutch and English colonists were traders, and the English nominally claimed the area from their upstate base at Albany, New York. During the American Revolutionary War, the highly decentralized Iroquois divided into groups and bands that supported the British, along with 2 tribes that supported the American-born rebels or patriots. The original settlement of Syracuse was a conglomeration of several small towns and villages, and was not recognized with a post office by the United States government. Establishing the post office was delayed because the settlement did not have an overarching name. Joshua Foreman wanted to use the name Corinth. When John Wilkinson applied for a post office in that name in 1820, it was denied because the same name was already in use in Saratoga County, another county of New York. Having read a rather poetic description of Syracuse in Sicily, or to use its local name, Syracusa, Wilkinson saw similarities to the lake and the salt springs of this area, which had both salt and fresh water mingling together. On February the 4th, 1820, Wilkinson proposed the name Syracuse to a group of fellow townsmen, and it became the name of the village and subsequently of the new post office. On March the 24th, 1870, Syracuse University was founded. The state of New York granted this new university its own charter, independent of Genesee College, which had unsuccessfully attempted to move to Syracuse the year before. The first New York State Fair was held in Syracuse in 1841. Then between 1842 and 1889, the fair was held among 11 different New York cities, before finding a permanent home in Syracuse. And it has been an annual event since then. The only exceptions to this being between 1942 and 1947, when the grounds were used as a military base during World War II, and in 2020, due to COVID and the global pandemic. Syracuse is home to the only green on top traffic lights. The green on top traffic light was installed in 1928 as a result of local youths throwing rocks at the British red light that was originally on top. These locals became known as stone throwers, and the neighbourhood now has the Tipperary Hill Heritage Memorial on the corner of Tompkins Street and Milton Avenue to commemorate this history. What a museum that must be. World War II stimulated significant industrial expansion within the area of specialty steel, of fasteners, and of custom machining. After the war, two of the big three automobile manufacturers, those being General Motors and Chrysler, had major operations in the area. Syracuse was also headquarters for Carrier Corporation, and Crouse-Hinds manufactured traffic signals in the city. I wonder if green was on top or on the bottom. General Electric, with its headquarters in Schenectady to the east, had its main television manufacturing plant at Electronics Parkway in Syracuse. The manufacturing industry in Syracuse began to falter in the 1970s as many industries were restructuring nationwide. Many small businesses failed during this time, which contributed to the already increasing unemployment rate. Rockwell International moved its factory outside of New York State. General Electric moved its television manufacturing operations to Suffolk, Virginia, and later offshore to Asia. The Carrier Corporation moved its headquarters out of Syracuse, relocated its manufacturing operations out of state, and outsourced some of its production to Asian facilities. The city of Syracuse officially recognizes 26 neighborhoods within its boundaries. Some of these have small additional neighborhoods and districts inside of them. In addition, Syracuse also owns and operates Syracuse Hancock International Airport on the territory of 4 towns north of the city. Many notable people have been raised in or near to Syracuse, including Tom Cruise, Post Malone, Richard Gere, and most importantly, Ronnie James Dio and Bobcat Goldthwait. Syracuse's neighborhoods reflect the historically ethnic and multicultural population. Traditionally, Irish, Polish, and Ukrainian Americans settled on its west side. Jewish Americans on its east side, German and Italian Americans on the north side, and African Americans on its south side. In recent years, large numbers of refugees from the Middle East have settled mainly on the north side as well. And it is to Syracuse that we go today to look at a pair of childhood friends who had recently immigrated to the US in 2024. Joselyn Joanna Toaquiza, who had just turned 21, was fresh from Ecuador, and she was living in Syracuse, New York, with one of her closest childhood friends, Jhon Ilbis, while the pair were waiting on immigration stuff to be done. They'd known each other forever. Schoolyard pals who crossed the world together, chasing whatever dreams you chase when you're young, and starting again in a new place. Now, Jhon, who was also 21, decided to throw her a birthday party. He rented an Airbnb, picked out gifts like slippers and cute small wine bottles, and it sounded like an absolute treat. Like something that you would do for a sister or for a best friend. Joselyn must have been very, very excited and looking forward to a night that was supposed to be all about her. They walked into that Airbnb together around 4:20 p.m. on June the 18th, 2024. And the surveillance cameras caught these two friends stepping into what should have been a wonderful time for the pair of them. And of course, this would have led to a buzz of excitement. But this story doesn't quite go the way that you should have expected. Somewhere in that house and at some point things turned dark, with Jhon strangling his best friend. Whether this was anger, jealousy, or some issues from the past, we'll probably never know. But he took her life right there on her birthday in a place he'd set up as a celebration for her. But then it gets worse. The cameras caught him again later that night, hauling her body out of the home. She wasn't moving, just this limp weight in his arms, and he carried her across the street to a park, like she was nothing, like she wasn't the girl that he had grown up with. He buried her there, shallow enough that she'd be found eventually, but deep enough to perhaps buy him time. He came back to the Airbnb alone. And for anybody else, it would probably have been a frightening thing, seeing all of her things there. But Jhon didn't stop there. Over the next few days, he travelled into New York City, swiping Joselyn's credit cards like he was on the greatest spree of his life. Back in Syracuse, the Airbnb told its own story. When the cops showed up, the bloodstains and the footage were telling only one story. There was only one suspect, and he made seemingly no efforts to cover his tracks. Maybe the charges on her credit cards were his version of a last hurrah, knowing that there would be no running from or denying this incident. Fast forward to the courtroom. Jhon pled guilty to second-degree murder, concealment of a human corpse. There was no trial, no drawn-out drama, just a young kid standing there owning up to something terrible. He said, "I want to apologize to Joselyn's family, my family, and friends for the pain and suffering I have caused." The words he told the judge there. But Judge Ted Limpert didn't mince words. He called it inexplicable. Jhon had no record, no hint that he would go to this extreme. Yet there he was, getting 23 years to life, which is a long time to sit and think about what happened. But nothing compared to the life that he stole from Joselyn Toaquiza.
And we're learning more about a case against a Spring Valley man facing murder charge in central New York. And Diane Caruso has the details now.
Surveillance video obtained by a Syracuse TV station is believed to be the last time Joselyn Toaquiza was seen alive. She is with 21-year-old Jhon Ilbis on June 18th at an Airbnb in Syracuse for her 21st birthday. Hours later, censored video shows the Spring Valley man carrying her out of the home. It's blurred because we don't know if she's alive here. Ilbis of Spring Valley has now been charged with her murder. In this document, he allegedly strangled the woman to death before hiding her body in a wooded area. We were given this week-long timeline from Syracuse police, which includes the man turning himself in to Spring Valley police days after the incident, and then Syracuse police bringing him into custody and back to Syracuse. Reports indicate the victim and suspect knew each other for a long time. Another document we found states he is an Ecuadorian citizen but lives in Spring Valley. No one answered at his listed apartment on Lafayette Street. Our report comes a day before he is due back in Syracuse City Court on Tuesday as he faces charges of second-degree murder and concealment of a human corpse. In Spring Valley, Diane Caruso, News 12.
Good evening, I'm Matt Mulcahy. You're watching the news at 10. There is an arrest tonight in the death of a 21-year-old woman who was born in Ecuador and worked as a hotel housekeeper in Syracuse. The district attorney tells us the suspect is 21-year-old Jhon Toaquiza Ilbis. He turned himself in, and in the investigation, it was determined Joselyn's cause of death was strangulation or suffocation. He'll be arraigned in court tomorrow. It's not clear if the suspect is the same person seen on the home security video we've been showing you for the last couple of days, just hours before she was reported missing. Her family and friends reported her missing last week. Her body discovered in Lincoln Park last weekend. Our Samantha Crossan has more on how those who know Joselyn are remembering her tonight.
On the day that Joselyn Toaquiza turned 21 years old, her life was taken away far too soon.
We've been going through the entire ordeal since she was reported missing. So it's been a whole week of trying to help the family.
Christopher Renna and Jennifer Engel are managers at Hotel Concord, where they say Joselyn worked as a housekeeper for about 2 months. They set up the vigil for family and friends to have a place to mourn.
She was very sweet, very kind. She greeted everybody with a smile. And she was kind of a fun-loving, happy-go-lucky type of person. So she was always had that bright-faced smile. And like I said, just very sweet.
Her cousin, who attended the vigil, says the family is focused on the effort to try and bring Joselyn's body back to her home country of Ecuador. That's where the family wishes to have the funeral.
Estoy ante ustedes pidiendo fondos para mi prima, para repatriar su cuerpo, que sería para Ecuador. Si me sale un monto muy alto para poder hacerlo.
Now that the man charged with her murder is in custody, Renna hopes the family will be able to focus on healing.
It's probably taken a lot of stress and emotional turmoil that they've been going through and, weaken that so that they can actually feel a little more comfort and then start to grieve Joselyn more so than trying to seek justice.
The hotel managers, alongside family members, have created a GoFundMe campaign to bring Joselyn's body home. Reporting in studio, I'm Samantha Crossan.
I want you to know that we will never forgive you for what you did. How can you live bearing the thought of having taken the life of an innocent person? How can you sleep at night knowing that you have caused so much pain and suffering to my family? And then aside, Judge, sincerely, Rhys Toaquiza, Jhon Toaquiza, and Alicia UGSHA.
Me disculpo con la familia de la Johanna, con mi familia, amigos y compañeros.
I want to apologize to Joanna's family, to my family, and to my friends and mates
Todo el dolor y sufrimiento que he causado.
for all the pain and suffering that I have caused.
Me siento muy mal y avergonzado por esta situación,
I feel really bad and ashamed of this situation that I caused,
por alterar mis principios y valores.
for ignoring my principles and values.
Entiendo y respeto su dolor.
I understand and I respect their pain.
Reconozco el daño causado
I acknowledge the damage I made,
y soy responsable de mis acciones.
and I'm responsible for my actions.
Me arrepiento por todo esto y le pido perdón de todo corazón.
I regret everything, and I wholeheartedly ask for your forgiveness.
No era consciente de lo que había hecho.
I wasn't conscious about what I did. Thank you.
This crime is really inexplicable. The court is not aware of, nor is the family aware of, the reasons that this happened. And it's very disturbed by that, and it's something I'm sure the family is going to wrestle with for the rest of their lives. They can't understand it, nor can I, nor can the people of this community, why you would take the life of such a young, beautiful woman. And I'm sure that the pain, as we heard from the statements of the family, is unimaginable. And that they will never be able to remove that pain from their lives.
Joselyn was just 21 years old, starting a new life in New York City when she was little more than a child herself. She had big dreams for a big future in the Big Apple. But her life was cut senselessly short by a man she had known and trusted all of her life. And that trust was broken in the very worst possible way. She will never know marriage, children, or grandchildren. This video is of course dedicated to this very young lady who had her whole life in front of her before it was ripped away. I send love to her friends and family, many of whom were thousands of miles away in another country, compounding the loss they undoubtedly felt. She will have left an unfillable void in the lives of so many. Thank you for watching another episode of Murder of Crows. Please subscribe and turn on notifications to stay up to date with all of my uploads. But with that said, I'm Steve, this furball is Samson, and we will see you when we see you. Oh, and by the way, this is my new friend Jeff, and he is looking forward to meeting his new family in a couple of weeks' time at CrimeCon in London. Stay tuned for updates about Jeff's adventures in the future.